Hi guys, welcome back to August Love Story, the channel. This week we are reviewing Married at First Sight, season 12, episode 13, and it's titled Unanswered Questions. I forgot to say in the beginning, I'm Artika.
And I'm Tommy.
Welcome if this is your first time. Welcome back if it is not. If you haven't already, please take a minute to subscribe to our channel and turn on the notification bell. And let's do this.
Let go.
All right, so go ahead and get these guys out of the way because I'm hoping this is the last time we see them before decision day. Chris and Paige. Paige sat down with Dr. Pepper. Dr. Pepper used everybody's favorite buzzword, narcissist. She called Chris a narcissist at least 2 or 3 times, at minimum. They discussed all the things that have transpired between the two of them, and essentially agreed that Paige needs to go onward and upward.
Yep.
I think we've all been there since probably about episode 3.
Right.
Happy that everybody else is caught up to us.
Right.
Over here at episode 13. Chris was 45 minutes late to meet with Pastor Cal. When they discussed why he was acting the way that he was acting, he blamed it on the physicality of Paige, saying that he didn't like her face. I wanted to punch Chris in the face. And if Pastor Cal wasn't a man of the cloth, I think he might would have gave him a run for his money.
First off, it was so disrespectful that he was late.
Absolutely. But we know that Chris lacks respect.
Like he was late,
in general.
And apparently he didn't call or anything like that because they would have been like, okay, he's on his way or something like that. It probably wouldn't even show that part. It just showed that he was talking to Pastor
No, because
Kyle.
when people let you know that they're going to be late, whether it be 10 minutes or 30 minutes or 45 minutes, they find a little bit more patience with you when you're in communication with them about your tardiness.
Right.
I don't think that Pastor Cal had any type of patience with Chris to start with. Yeah. And then when you add tardiness as a new layer in the issues, right, it's like, why am I here?
Right, exactly. So the thing that I paid attention to mostly is how Chris basically was like, to be honest, I wasn't physically attracted to her and I couldn't get past it. Then he said he tried. Chris did not try.
Chris had sex with her. That was his try.
That was his attempt to like her. We knew from the get-go that he didn't think Paige was attractive. Mm-hmm. Right? My thing is, try. Like you don't have
nothing beats a failure
than a try.
But a try. My granddaddy always said that.
But be respectful to her, because you're it's hard to see a person say, I want to hold the person up with so much regard, or I demand respect, but you don't give respect to people. Mm-hmm. Like he says, well, I they talked about the car, him buying his
baby
mama a car, and how disrespectful it was to his wife, which it was. Even if you're not trying to be with this woman or you're trying to get a divorce, at that point, you guys were working on something.
My thing is that there is a way that you can do things with tact and in a respectable manner, because a man that has means, and I'm just gonna throw it out here for like rappers and football players and basketball players, like people that have, even you go into like your regular professions, people that have means and can afford to buy a car for this woman and a car for that woman, and it's not triggering the budget at all. If they are in a healthy relationship and they're going to buy something for the mother of their child, there's a conversation.
Yeah.
Because I look at it like, I can't think of a rapper off the top of my head I can think of one. I'm just not gonna bring his name up. use a basketball player. I use Shannon Brown because I've actually met Shannon Brown before. So Shannon Brown was with Monica, right? If Shannon Brown wanted to buy the mother of his oldest child a vehicle, I think that could have been a comfortable conversation to have with his wife.
Yeah.
And it still could have gone over where it would have been a communication between the two women to figure out, okay, what kind of car are you looking for?
Right.
Let me see what we can find. All right, you want, because money is not the object. It's literally a conversation of, she doesn't have, I'm not going to let her and my child go without. I think that there is a respectful way to do it. Chris just did not find that because Chris lacks the ability to give respect.
Right. And thank you for saying that, because that's all I had to say about Chris. I hated for Paige. I felt bad for Paige this whole season, just because she truly came into the experiment wanting a good effort, giving a good try. At one point, it was like, okay, Paige, you're just being dumb. And I don't like to call people dumb, but she's just making bad decisions. But in the end, she got it. So right. I just say good luck to her. For Chris, it's crazy because he was like, I can't apologize to Paige.
And that's where the problem ends. Because she should just, at this point, just wash her hands. I know that they still have to do decision day. We know what the decisions are. Yeah. I don't even understand. Like, I get people want closure, but she was like, she's going to ask him what was he planning on gaining from the conversation with him and the mother of his child. He wanted to make you look bad. He wanted to make you feel bad. He was trying to one-up you. And he couldn't do it because he was the one that got one-upped.
Right.
And it was just like, he didn't know how to deal with the situation. So best wishes to Paige. I wish we never had to have experienced Chris at all in television, because he's made this a very, very hard season.
Oh, for sure.
To watch.
For sure.
Because a lot of people actually genuinely did enjoy watching Married at First Sight, and Chris has made this hard.
Because it's like, first off, and I hate to bring color into it, but from my standpoint, as a black man, I love looking at black couples. Mm-hmm. I got into this show because of Jeffy and Shanice, a black couple on here. But when you see black women, but black women especially, mistreated the way that Paige was mistreated, that's what was called, for me, what was ruining the show, is that you're blatantly mistreating this girl, told this girl she's ugly, you're using this girl for sex, you don't care about this girl's feelings at all.
Right.
Then you're manipulating her, and you know all these things, and we're seeing it on TV, and it's like, why treat this woman like this?
Right.
Black, white, whatever color you want to be, like, why treat a woman this way? You don't like her, leave her alone. You don't like her and you don't want to participate in this experiment, leave it alone. You know what I'm saying? Don't keep pulling her and pushing her away. It's dumb. So that's where it bothered me the most with Chris in this whole thing. So that's my 2 cents on Chris.
So next we'll go to Clara and Ryan. So Ryan sat down and talked to Dr. Pepper, and they decided that he needs to have deeper conversations about spirituality and their sex life. Clara speaks to Pastor Cal. I said Kyle. Pastor Cal, and she said that she thinks she loves Ryan, or she knows that she loves Ryan, but she's unwilling to tell him for fear of how he may act. They also talk about their sex life, and she admits that she's not okay if that's all that they'll ever do, whatever they're doing now, which we know what they're doing now. But so they get back to the house, they reconvene, and they talk about what happened. He didn't waste any time jumping into the conversation with any pleasantries. He was just like, all right, so let me tell you about this. I go to church. I know you don't. We have kids. I'm not saying that you gotta go to church, but they going to church. And I felt like she agreed. And she said that she grew up going to church and her dad never went. And you do see a lot of that in households where the mom takes the kids to church and then dad gets to sleep in and watch football. Not necessarily the case in our household, but you do have, you know, that dynamic. Yeah. And for some families, it works. I don't think it could work for me, but I guess I've also never tried it.
I mean, it could.
Well, technically speaking, I do go to church alone.
Yeah.
Like, we ride in separate cars, but that's because we have to be at church at different times. So, yeah, I guess it could work for me, but my expectation is not that I'm going by myself and I'm not going to at least see you there.
Well, my thing about their whole thing is you have to have an understanding. Like, when it comes to kids, you have to definitely have some type of plan. Like, she's so big on letting them make their own decision.
A 1-year-old can't make their own decision.
That's what I'm saying. I think kids can make their own decision up to a point. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? I ain't gonna be like, nah, you gotta force, like, whatever trauma she had with religion. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you don't do it that way, but like, if he's deep in the church and he goes to church, yeah, the kid's gonna go.
But even her trauma surrounding religion didn't happen until she was an adult. Because remember, she said it happened in Bible college.
Right.
So whatever happened at Bible college, you were definitely old enough to make decisions.
Like, I feel like with the religion thing with her, it's not more so of a letting them choose their own religion, but you as the parent being able to respect what they choose.
Mm-hmm. Or at least talking to them about other religions.
Right. Like, it's like, you should be able to have and this is with people, period. Mm-hmm. People should be able to have conversations with people that believe in different things.
There was a quote I remember telling my cousin-in-law about it. The mark of a smart mind is to entertain a subject without accepting it.
Right.
So being able to say, oh, you practice XYZ, I don't have to believe in that, but I can accept that you do.
That you do.
So, I mean, that's
essentially, I feel like that's what Clara wants for her babies, whenever, if and whenever they have some.
But you gotta give them some.
Right. But at the end of the day, I feel like it should be a conversation, but it shouldn't be a forefront conversation. Mm-hmm. More so on the forefront is the issue that Clara has with Ryan. And I said something to Artika about it while she was talking to Pastor Kyle, when she was like, she didn't want to tell Ryan that she loves him. Mm-hmm. I had been saying, hey, Clara needs to focus on how she's progressing in this relationship and not how Ryan feels. And I said today, I was like, she's more so of making herself a second-class citizen in the relationship by not talking up her feelings about everything, allowing her feelings to be set aside for the better good of him.
Mm-hmm. And we've noticed that Ryan doesn't give a lot at all.
Not at all.
Like, in the conversations, it's just like, for sure, you don't really know what he really feels about it. You just know that he's agreeable.
Yeah. It was interesting when he was talking to Dr. Pepper as well, because he made it seem like they were just perfect. Mm-hmm. Like, nothing's wrong, everything's perfect, but we all know there's something wrong, you know? And Clara did the same thing, 10 out of 10. But Clara, you just had a eruption about not having sex.
Mm-hmm. Just a couple of days ago.
That is
if not the day before, because we don't know exactly what day that was filmed.
That's a real concern, man, for somebody to be like not knowing, like, hey, for somebody to be an asexual person like she is, to not knowing if she's finna have sex with this man or not, you know? So, I mean, I don't know.
I don't feel like they talked through anything, but of course that's also editing. And they ended essentially with her asking him when, and he didn't have an answer. And I think that that's part of the problem, is that Ryan gives these arbitrary, like, out there in outer space answers for things that I'm not saying that they have to be concrete, but they should at least be more
measurable.
Yeah.
It should be
not
measurable.
even just like measurable. Yes, that's a good word. But like the word that I'm thinking about is like in a range of time.
Yeah.
Like if we go X amount of months without this, then what? Give me some.
Like the one thing that I noticed about them is like they haven't had conflict like the rest of the couples.
Right.
It's like everything been so peachy. It's that's unnatural.
But wouldn't you argue that a lot of that is Claire's unwillingness to argue because she doesn't want to ruffle any feathers? I would. Because Ryan is getting everything that he wants. He's getting to take time. He's getting serviced. He is he's getting everything that he has shown that he needs and wants from the relationship, and she's not getting anything, and she's also not speaking up for herself to say that she feels and wants these things. So that's why. It's because she's being agreeable.
Yeah, that's not healthy, man. At all.
So next up, we'll just jump into Haley and Jacob.
All right.
So Jake met with Pastor Cal, and he basically came to the conclusion that they've never had a deep conversation about anything. Haley meets with Dr. Pepper, and she tells her that Dr. Pepper tells Haley that from everything that they've seen and heard, that there's just no common ground between them, and they need to work on that. Haley starts crying because she talks about the expectations that have been placed on her life from everybody. I was like, girl, you don't have to cry with Dr. Pepper. She don't care. Like, cry with Jake. He might feel something, but Dr. Pepper's just like, okay, so we're going to work through this. She says that she feels like she has failed. And Jake also gave the same sentiment in his confessional, was that, you know, he feels like he's failed because this was supposed to be his last shot at love. I don't know why he thinks that 40 is it.
It's that magical number that's in his head. All of us have a magical number. Was like, hey,
I must have got married before my magical number.
You had to.
I didn't have one. It's just, I feel bad for him and for her for different reasons. I feel bad for him because he married someone who he can't open up to because she doesn't want to be opened up to. And I feel bad for her because she doesn't know how to open up.
Yeah.
And when they were talking in their conversation, she did say that her defense mechanism, she didn't call it this, but that's essentially what it is. Her defense mechanism for feeling like she's controlled is to turn the narrative so that she's in control. And one of the things that she felt, like she said, when she doesn't want to do something, that's when she flips it to make it so that nobody is getting what they want out of the situation. And that's something that tells me she's not ready to be married. Because there's always going to be some type of part of your life where you're doing something that you don't want to do when you get married. Like, we are not 100% agreeable on everything all the time.
Yeah.
There are times, like, just to use us as an example, there are times when you want to play a video game, but you also want to hang out with me. And I'm like, I just want to be by myself. But we agree to disagree, and we find some type of common ground between those three things to make it so that it's at least halfway enjoyable for everybody involved. And that's the compromise of marriage. And that's just a simple, easy compromise. And there's always going to be harder things that you have to deal with. I'm not saying that you have to bend and give on everything, but you got to give something. You can't just be like, I'm uncomfortable, I don't want to do this, so nobody's going to have fun. You're not going to be married or stay married. You can be married, obviously. She's married. But
right.
It's going to be a hard deal to stay married. So they did sit down and talk. She asked him about the last 10 years of his life. He still gave a very vague answer, but she felt like that answer gave her something that it didn't the last time.
The answer that he gave is what I expected. A lot of his friends started to settle down, and
but that wasn't the answer to the question.
It
what
was.
Have you been doing?
Like, that's what he's been doing. Nothing.
Exactly. And that's what he said the first time too. So his answer hasn't changed.
Right. He hasn't been doing, he's only been going on these dates that, you know, didn't lead to anything, which speaks more into what he's doing as far as like the type of women he's choosing. So he makes sense to go on this show, you know, because he gotta
doing something different.
He gotta try something different. But you know, he really like she said this about Jacob. He's stable. He has his house. He's doing X, Y, and Z.
He's loyal like a dog.
Right. That was weird. But like he has all these things. So the last 10 years that he's been building that. He's just been going to work, dating these girls, and you know, they ain't leading anywhere. And he's been watching him. I don't want to say he's losing friends because he might still be friends with them. But it's like, of course, the time that he spent with them dwindled away because of them starting to build families. And he's still out here by himself, not building, you know, a family or anything like that. So that's why I think 40 is that magical number for him, because it's like, man, it's like everybody else around me has done this. Like, what's wrong with me?
I guess I'm looking at it under the guise of ask the question that you want to know the answer to. And the question that she asked and the answer that he gave, which was nothing, was correct.
Yeah.
She wanted to know more, and that's not the question that she asked. So I think if she had asked the better question the first time,
definitely,
she would have gotten the response that she wanted, but she didn't know how to ask that question.
She didn't know what she was looking for.
Right, and that's the problem. Like, you're saying he's not giving you anything, but you don't know what you're looking to get. So that's the problem. Like, it's kind of like that Kevin Hart joke where he was like, he tells his kids to do something and they do exactly what he wanted them to do. It's just like not that. In the way that he imagined them doing it.
It's just like that.
And it's like, Haley, you have to, and it's not just Haley, but in general, you have to ask the question that you want to know the answer to, not a question that you think is going to guide the person to the answer that you're actually trying to get.
And most of the time, it's like, man, when you like interested in a person, right? Let's not say you're dating or anything like that. You're interested in a person. Experiences usually bring those things out. Experiences usually bring the conversation out, and them talking with each other and then learning how to experience life with each other is going to be greater in helping them get into deeper conversations. They spent most of this either mad at each other, away from each other, and arguing with each other, which has hindered them from actually experiencing each other.
I agree.
So
you think that the tide is going to turn for them?
I want the tide to turn for them.
But do you think it's going to?
I don't know. I don't know because of what Jake was saying. But then also it's like Haley has to make the decision too. And I don't trust what she said.
I don't think Haley is going to make that decision, but let's hope she proves us wrong. You got anything else for them?
No, that's it.
Okay, we did Haley and Jacob, Chris and Paige, Clara and Ryan. You want to do Brianna and Vincent next, or Virginia and Erik?
Brianna and Vincent can go.
All right. So we opened up with Brianna and Vincent sitting down and talking about finances.
Man. They're
not they.
That was just hers.
I think that they were going through both of their finances.
They basically,
but
it was
everything that was in the plus column was Brianna.
Man, that thing said $9,000 a month. I was like, good grief.
And he's just like, nah, we gotta save something. And I'm like, if your expenses are $9,000 a month, you need to own and not rent.
Yeah, for sure.
Like, let's just thank you, Ryan.
He ain't got me saying that.
No, like definitely some things need to be different in their situation, because if you can spend $9,000 in a month's time, and you're not saving at minimum half of that,
you're wasting money.
It's a huge, gross waste of or mismanagement of money. So we go to them sitting down with the experts. Vincent sits down with Pastor Kyle, and I keep saying Kyle, Pastor Cal. And basically they realize that Vincent is a people pleaser or a wife pleaser, and he has to figure out how to not ride that line of giving Brianna everything she wants and being selfish for himself.
Right. One thing I did appreciate about Vincent, and I think that's one thing that draws me closer to their relationship, is that Vincent asked, "Is that okay?" For me to not want to. They were talking about Brianna. I think Brianna waking up in the morning and waking him up, and he asked Pastor Cal if that's okay for him not to want to wake up. I was like, I appreciate that question because that's an honest question that he wanted the answer to. A lot of people would look at that and be like, "You're stupid." You know what I'm saying? Or why would you even ask that question? But it's been times where I had to call Elder Harris.
Elder Harris was the officiant that married us.
And he was our marriage counselor.
They obviously don't know.
Look, I'm talking to you about it. I had to call him and actually ask him, like, what's going on? This wasn't in what we talked about before we got married, you know? And like it'd be times we would talk on the phone and he would just kind of walk me through. And that's what that reminded me of with Vincent and Pastor Cal. So using the experts the way that they should be used as guides on this journey and this experiment. And it helps.
Right.
That's why I feel so strong about them, like sticking it out and sticking together and being able to work through things. That was just a good conversation with Vincent and Pastor Cal.
So Bree talked to Dr. Pepper, and they talked about financial stability. And I think that one of the things with Brianna and money and Brianna's relationship with money versus Vincent's relationship with money is, especially as a new entrepreneur, you don't know where your next dollar is coming from. Not unless you were the person that had 100,000 masks at your house at the beginning of the pandemic, and you was able to unload them at $10, $20 a pop. Right. I don't know. That ain't what he doing.
No.
But she is looking at it from a place of, my job is stable. I am not going to experience lack. And he is looking at it from a place of, yes, I might have a large surplus now, but I could have a dry month. And I need to be able to sustain my current lifestyle on a dry month, which I fully get. Like, that makes a lot of sense, being able to say, okay, I'm new at doing this. He started his business in April. It's only, I think, September or October at this point. I haven't even been doing this for a year, and you talking about let's spend $9,000 a month?
That's
no,
just, like that number just is just astronomical,
right?
And I can't imagine doing that every month. Like, people, like, the biggest thing is like that they were talking about was the entertainment thing. Was the going out on dates and stuff like that. Our first date was at a mini golf. You don't call it a date. I call it a date.
Tomato.
Right. Our first date was at a mini golf that I had got tokens for.
We still actually have some tokens for that place.
I don't think that place is still open.
I don't know if it is now. I'm saying, but there's still tokens in my car from it.
So it's like, you don't have to spend that much money to go out on a date with someone. She was buying clothes every month.
Yeah, when she said she spends $400 a month on clothing, I was like, where are you going?
Right.
Because, like, girl, we're still in a pandemic.
Right. I was like, man, I must be frugal, man, because
even when outside was open and we were both working full time and I don't want to say throwing money away because we weren't throwing money away, but spending a lot more freely because it was just the two of us.
Nah, I wasn't doing that anyway.
We still weren't spending $400. Collectively, we were not spending $400 a month unless we had something to do.
Right.
Now, there was one time I was in a wedding. You had to buy a suit. Yeah, okay, that month we spent more than $400 because I had to buy a dress, you had to buy a suit, and then we had other accessories and things that we needed to buy. But just on an every month basis, nah. I don't have $400 worth of places that I'm going every single month. I have clothes in the closet that fit.
Yeah.
Like, what are we doing?
And that was the thing, man. I think it was more so of, it's just fiscally responsible for somebody to save and not spend that much money.
It's kind of like Woody last season when he was talking about he spent like $800 or $900 a month. I was like, "Where are you? What are you doing?"
And Brianna's like, I think Olivia, but I want to go out.
Yeah,
and do things.
Like no, girls, it's still a panini.
So hopefully they can come to a happy medium. Unlike Brett and Olivia,
Yeah, their issues weren't just about money though.
Yeah.
So one of the things that Brianna talked to Dr. Pepper about was her high blood pressure and her fears associated with that related to childbirth. Childbirth in general is scary.
No, it is.
Because any wrong thing happens could jeopardize you and or the child's health.
Mm-hmm.
Adding high blood pressure into it creates a whole new world of issues. Like I was telling Tommy during us watching the episode, I'm a person that normally has lower blood pressure, and pregnancy made me have normal blood pressure. So for a person that has high blood pressure, it can put them at crazy elevated levels and can really throw some things off. And then there's a lot of medications that you cannot take. I don't know about blood pressure medicines because I don't have those issues. Mm-hmm. But there's a lot of medications that you would traditionally take that you can't take while pregnant. So that's a fine line. And it's not something that you think about talking to your gynecologist about when you are a single person, not planning on having kids. But when you take the 0 to 100 fast track to marriage, like this show, kids come into the picture a lot sooner than they would in a traditional sense. So that's definitely something that she's going to have a telemed visit about, just to like discuss what are the options, like trying to prepare myself for childbirth and actually being able to include him in those conversations so that they know what they're getting into. Because like pregnancy is the worst. At least it was for me. And I don't have high blood pressure. I had
normal.
I'm saying? Like my pregnancy was just normal as well, minus the HG, but that was another layer. So
no, I think this conversation should have been had way before now, because it's like they kept saying it's less than 3 weeks left in the
until decision day.
Yeah. So it's like, why not have this conversation when you guys are talking about children? Because then he can make a better decision on what he's comfortable with. Because at the end of the day, I think, me personally, I wanted children. We have Lily, but I want more. You know what I'm saying? But I have to be comfortable with what we have. Like Vincent needs to be comfortable with her fear, and then he has to work with her on getting over it.
I also look at the child situation as you have to look at the extremes of it. What if I can't get pregnant?
Yeah.
What if you can't get me pregnant?
Right. What do you do? Like what's the alternative for you?
What do we do to resolve this matter? Because if you're the person that can't get me pregnant, but you're also the person that wants to have these kids, that's going to send you into a spiral.
Right.
Because you're the one that wanted them and you can't give them.
Right.
Like, that's just, it's something hard to deal with. And you have to wrap your head around all of the different options or paths that could possibly be taken. Like, before we even started trying to have kids, we talked about what if this doesn't work.
Yeah. But you know what I was thinking throughout the episode when they was having this conversation is we're talking about kids and she's talking about a fear that she has about being pregnant. Mm-hmm. But I feel like, yeah, it's a good conversation to have, but the focus should be on y'all too. Like, I don't feel like y'all should be talking about we're going to get pregnant in a year, we're going to get pregnant in 2 years. Hey, you get pregnant whenever you get pregnant. Enjoy the moments that you have together now.
You could be a couple that has to try for years.
Right.
Like, I know that can put a real strain on relationships. Like, we were lucky, pregnant first try. But there are other people who are not that lucky, literally, in trying for kids. Like, they've been trying for a year. They've been trying for 2 years. They have to go through these IVF cycles. Like, you don't know what is going to come of your baby making experience. Yeah. So you have to, like, have the open mind and, like, not have the stress, because obviously if she has high blood pressure and you stressed out about this, like, that's just not an environment for a baby to, like, grow healthily in. So
right. And then Vincent, when they were talking to each other, Vincent's face completely changed, because before the conversation about the babies, he asked about, you know, why, you know, about what's her compromise for him not waking up. And she was like, go to bed early.
And she didn't have a compromise.
And she
was
wouldn't
like,
compromise on it. And he was like, decision day is coming. It's like, oh, okay. Uh-oh. There's a wrench. And then this thing about the baby. So I don't know.
They're gonna make it beyond decision day.
They probably will.
All right. You got anything else for
them?
No,
that's it.
All right. So last up is Virginia and Erik. So Virginia's sister Jennifer comes over and has her 2 boys, and she wants to have a moment alone to talk with her sister. And so Erik says he's going to go out and walk Rocky. And Jennifer asked the boys to go out with Erik. And I have to mention this because she was like, is it okay that he has my kids outside alone by himself? And it was like a pause and awkward, like, looking. And she's like, well, I'm like, the answer is yes or no.
Right. And if it's anything other than yes, they need to come back.
Now. Like, why did you even let them go? Right. You should have been like, no, y'all stay here. We'll go walk the dogs or something. Like, it was just...
Y'all go play in the back room.
Like, girl, what are we doing here?
Right.
So basically, I don't remember what happened with that full conversation with Jennifer. Outside of, she said she misses Virginia because she's super busy, and, you know, that's basically her best friend and they talk all the time. So Virginia went to meet with Pastor Cal, and they talked about Erik's request of having kids, and him basically saying, if she doesn't want to have kids, I'm done. And she was like, I'm just sick of the ultimatums. And I was like, she got this, Erik, I'm done. What's down? Or at least I heard it while she was speaking. Let's see what else. Pastor Cal told her that she needs to be more vulnerable when speaking to him and tell Erik exactly how she feels about things. Because one of her biggest things about the kids was that she felt like she was going to be a bad mom. And I don't think that Virginia is going to be a bad mother, but I think that she has some growing up to do, and she recognizes that she is not ready. Mm-hmm. And that's the most important part.
That is the most important
is to recognize that you're not ready, because you can't have kids and get drunk at other folks' houses and spend the night.
You cannot.
Who's keeping this baby? Dr. Pepper had to sit down with Erik and they talked about the dogs. Dr. Pepper told him to leave it alone. Like, that ain't your battle to fight. That's her dog. What would you do if that was her kid? You don't get to have equal footing as a step parent. Why do you think you get equal footing as a dog dad? Yeah. He also said that he felt like Virginia was too independent for him. And I think that speaks a lot to what his issues are when it comes to having a relationship is he wants to be able to control the narrative, and Virginia is unwilling to allow him to control the narrative, which gets me to the conversations when they both came back to the house and had their conversation about her planning a weekend that is just for the two of them, which Virginia completely agreed. And then he took it and he turned it, he flipped it around and basically threw her agreement out the window. Yeah. Because he was like, hey, can we have a weekend that's just for us? Okay, cool, no problem. If you tell me when, we can make this a standing weekend. I'm like, go Virginia, we got an agreement here. Yeah. And then he was like, you're gonna have to cancel things for me. She's like, why do I need to cancel things if we pick a weekend and we agree to it? I don't schedule anything that weekend. We've agreed to it. I'm like, Erik, what is your problem? Like,
I don't. He has this false narrative of what marriage looks like.
His mom must cancel everything for his dad.
Had to.
Like, drops everything, no matter what she was planning on doing. Whatever dad says, it goes.
Yeah. It's just, you know, we know that he's coming into it with the mindset of how it needs to go and how it should flow.
I just thought of rap lyrics in my head. I got the D, so I make the rules. Blame my Memphis upbringing.
Yeah. But Virginia's gonna fight back on that for him. One thing that I didn't get with Virginia is when he brought up the fact that he wanted, like, if they was to have arguments and discussions, heavy discussions, that they do it while they're both sober. And Virginia was like, I don't want to talk about it. It's like, dog.
Virginia's not giving up the vodka.
Yeah, like, but it's that's a reasonable request.
It is. But one of the things with that request that you also have to think about is, how do you stop an argument when you've been drinking?
I don't know. You have to be trained, like, mentally to do that.
It has to be difficult.
That has to be
and
practiced.
He's a gaslighter.
Yeah.
And so because he's a gaslighter and she's like, I'm not backing down, there is not going to be a stop to an argument when either of them is drunk or has been drinking, because it's so easy to elevate it because we've been drinking and I already been thinking about this with a sober heart. Nah. And now you gonna come to me while I'm drunk?
You got some of that liquid courage in you.
I got some animosity on my chest and you gonna hear it today.
Yeah.
So I think that that's going to be difficult for them. I don't know how you stop having arguments when drinking, unless y'all got like a magic word, and even then somebody's gonna try to push the narrative on the magic word. So let's see what else that they talk about. They talk about, I said she's not willing to stop drinking. They agreed to the kids' conversation, and then he killed the mood, telling her that she needed to cancel plans for them. I touched on all those things. I don't get
the canceling plans thing, man. If y'all set it up, you don't have to cancel plans.
If I say we're going to have a date night the first Saturday of every month, I'm just not going to do anything on the first Saturday of every month.
And I'm going to prepare myself for the first Saturday of every month to do the date night with my wife.
Now, if you come at me and ask me in March, can we change the date night for April to the third Saturday? And I'm like, got plans. Your fault for changing it. Because I made plans around what we agreed to. Yeah. Now, it might be a day that I don't have like strict plans. Like maybe the third Saturday I bought concert tickets and I'm like, we can't go Saturday, but how about we do Sunday? I was going to go out with my friends, but I'll cancel that.
But you know something else too, this shows that Virginia has some growing up to do. The fact that every weekend she's going out with her friends.
I just don't have the energy.
Like at some point you're like, realize that you're married and your friends like should want to hang out with you and your husband.
Or not. I mean,
I'm talking about not wanting to, but
be okay with it.
And you're more willing to, especially in a environment that they're in, that you're more willing to want to go hang out with your husband versus hanging out with your friends, because that's the change in your life.
Well, I guess like for us, most of our friends are married.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think through who's not. But most of them are married. So when we hang, we generally hang out as couples when it's in-person things.
Yeah.
So, I mean, maybe her friends aren't in relationships, and that's where she doesn't want to like bring him in to be like the fifth wheel on their usual foursome.
But the weird thing about it is when they do get into a relationship, because they're going to get into normal relationships where they're courting.
Mm-hmm. They're not fast tracking it.
Right. They're going to disappear.
Mm-hmm. In some capacity, absolutely. We've all gone through that. Like, we've all seen our friends not necessarily disappear from our lives, but definitely you have to give your time and attention to someone else. And then it becomes even more so when people start introducing kids to the fold. Right. Because now I have a husband and I have a kid. And so, like, you have to work at the hanging out part of everything.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, she got some growing up to do. Erik has some growing up to do. Yeah. That's all I got for them.
You got any questions for anybody, like for the comment section?
Nope.
Guys, just tell us what you thought of today's episode, or yesterday's episode, because y'all gonna see this on Thursday.
Yeah.
Tell us what you thought about the episode, and I don't remember how many more episodes we have until decision day. Also, tell us if you guys are actually going to be watching Married at First Sight. What is it called? Unmatchables?
Yeah.
I'm still confused on the premise of the show, but I also haven't given a lot of investigation to the premise of the show. So if you know what the show was about, you've actually done the research, please comment down below and let us know, because I just haven't taken the time to go to the Lifetime website and read anything. Also, check us out on Sunday on Little Black Book 91's page for the Married at First Sight. What are we, the U.S. Task Force?
Yeah.
And then also, we just posted a podcast episode yesterday about being the person that has been cheated on in a relationship. And we talked a little bit about Derek Jackson's wife. So that is also up, and I'll try to remember to put it in the card. So top, what side of the screen?
I don't know.
I think it's the top right side of the screen. It'll be on. It'll just pop up. But thank you guys for watching. Subscribe to our channel. Turn on the notification bell. And we will see you all next week. Bye.
Peace.